We are back with head coach Scott Nagy. His comments are brought to you by CMC Mitchell and Associates. Southern wins it tonight, 73-49. They held Northern Iowa to just 15 points in the opening 20 minutes. They hold them to 49 on the game. A lot of good areas to talk about with head coach Scott Nagy. Coach, just won. Congratulations. Tremendous effort by your group tonight, and I don't think it's any secret. It was a talking point when you came out to us in Cedar Falls. You immediately said the difference in the game was physicality. How did your team reverse that here tonight, really starting with your defensive effort?
Yeah, it's just been the whole defensive mindset that they've changed. They're seeing, they've seen it grow in the two games with Missouri State. And then this one, now they're starting to believe, that's who we need to be. Because we weren't great offensively tonight. I'm not exactly sure what the possessions were. We were okay. We obviously shot the ball well. I mean, we didn't throw up 90, but defensively we were tough. I mean, we were hard to score on. And I know they shot 15. It helped us, obviously. They went 7 for 15 in the first half on the free throw line. But I'd rather us play physical and put them on our free throw line a little more to send the message like this is who we're going to be. This won't be the same. And I said this, it was Ben's challenge to get his team to believe that this is a different group we're playing than when we played the first time. And I told our players that like that's his challenge as a coach. You guys aren't the same. Those players don't know that. He knows it. But it's hard to convince those players, and so if they take us lightly, they're going to find out. And our kids were just, they were ready. I was in the right spot, emotionally all day, and the kids just responded to it.
Coach, you told me in our pregame conversation you were just eager in terms of your anticipation level. This was the game you were looking for the most. What was it day to day that was giving you that for this team?
Well, it was just watching our team grow in confidence and knowing we're coming home and getting to play a team that really beat us up at their place. And, I was excited, more than I've been. And it wasn't like at the beginning of the year, this was the game I was looking forward to. But as we've gone through the year, I've not been more excited for our kids to play a game than this one. And so, I expressed that to them, and it's fun to get to play somebody that whipped you and go after them and do the same to them.
Coach, I'd like to talk about 100 things on your defense right now. One thing real quick that I just noticed, they didn't have a single guy in double figures. How proud of you are your team for following that scouting report?
They were, our kids were just tremendous. And we always say passion over perfection. It wasn't perfect, but, man, we flew around. We made some mistakes but covered up for each other. And they got to miss some shots, too. They miss some shots they don't normally miss, but a part of that is just the way you're playing and the message you're sending.
There were only 60 possessions in that game. For you to hold them to 49, and you guys score 73, it speaks for itself.
Well, you're going to, I always look at it, points per possession. We score over one, they don't, we win. That's the way it works.
Yeah. I got to ask you a coaching question because we're trying to get to know you as fans and everybody in Saluki Nation. How hard I know for me personally, coaching 38 years, it seemed like the more experience I got, the more I got in my way, and I didn't adjust well.
Yeah.
How hard has it been for you
hard.
And midstream to change the way you guard?
Hard. And I just turned it over to Hawk, and it hasn't been easy for me because defense is important to me like it was to him. But, I've watched over the past few years our teams not be as good defensively. And so, I just felt like I'm the common denominator here. And so it's not easy for me, but after watching the change and seeing our guys respond to it, I'm fine with it. And I love it. And Hawk's doing a great job with it. He's locking in on teams, and that's his whole focus. We're changing defenses. We're keeping people off balance, and that's not something I've ever done. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying watching our players take it. And I told our players this after the game how much I appreciated them for sticking with the coaching staff and trusting us because we were going through a very tough spot. It had been very easy for them to go, these guys have no idea what they're doing. And they didn't. They continued to trust us, and I think we're starting to see some of the fruits of that now.
What's it say about the growth of your team? At the 9:18 mark, you had Hensley and Deba on the bench after a timeout. You had a 24-point lead. I know at 7:36, I just happened to write it down. I think maybe Deba was on his way back, but that Hensley got big rest. And look, Northern Iowa, those guys can make threes, and they can make this thing a mess.
Yeah.
What's it say about your team, how they held that lead with their two leading scorers sitting on the bench?
Well, we just have other players playing with more confidence now. You watch Mayo. I mean, he's like a different player than he was at the beginning of the year. But he got back to, beginning of the year, he was just out of sorts and thinking differently than he normally does. It was more about scoring. He got back to being who he is, and now that other stuff is just happening naturally because he's being who he is first, and so the confidence is growing because he's put the work in. I know he hasn't made a lot of threes in his career, but he puts the work in. His shot looks good, and we encourage it. So, I'm super proud of him for sure. I mean, he's been a big, big key to this change for us.
Coach, I can remember one of the sets, specifically in the second half, and it's when you cleared out the left side of the floor, and Ali Diba, he just blew by everybody. Got to the rack.
Out of a timeout.
Out of a timeout as well. One of the areas in growth with your guys, and I'm not just putting this on Ali, but where has your team grown in terms of knowing where they can get on the court and where they can go score and get in those situations where there can be some mismatches and really have the advantage?
Yeah, I think they're just, we're just gotten more and more comfortable in the offense. Like when we played Northern Iowa the first time, we had just kind of switched over to doing this differently, and we were a disaster. I mean, it was – I couldn't believe it. I was like, what are we doing? And we're so much different now. We still don't run it with the pace that I would like to, but we're better than we were. And so everybody's playing with more confidence. Man, Ali, like I said, I'm sure I haven't coached a player that's quick a first step as he has. You have to, you almost have to get help. And I told them that, they're going to play in Ali because it's hard to guard you one-on-one. They're going to squeeze the floor, and you're going to have to deliver some passes.
He's been great. He was great in this game. He hasn't been great in the first half, and this one he was. It's something that you just let it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, we let it happen and let it flow. Coach Gibbs is taking over a lot of the offense too, and I'm not used to that. Now, when I look at him, I say I think we should run this, but he knows this offense better than I do, so I'm like just run it. I'm just kind of standing out here being a cheerleader.
Coach, the other side of it too is you can even sense when your team was playing hard, the fans rewarded them.
Oh, man.
And
I want to say that. I hope our fans will come back. And I get the way we kind of went in this league, it was embarrassing. It wasn't great. And we were unemotional and flat. And we need our students here. We need people to show up Wednesday night. This is a different group. This is the kind of group you want to cheer for. And not that we're going to win every game, but these kids are fighting now. They flipped. And we need our fans to get back in here and really help us because we're, the biggest key for our kids now, and I told them this, it's much easier to deal with losing than it is winning. And because when you start winning, everybody runs around, pat you on the back, tell you how great you are, and those people aren't your friends. I'm your friend. Listen to me. Don't go listen to those people at this point. It's hard because you start thinking you're more than you are, and you forget what you had to do to get back to this point. And so, but this is a pretty veteran group, and we'll keep them humble.
Coach, no doubt your players deserve a ton of credit, but you and your staff deserve a huge amount of this credit as well. Congratulations on the win, and keep stacking it.
Yeah, we still have a lot of work to do. I mean, we have 8 wins, so it's not like we're just tearing things up, but we're getting there.
Coach, thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
Once again, that was head coach Scott Nagy. Join us here post-game. Salukis win it here tonight, 73-49.